All right, this reaction video right here. The jealous girl who killed the popular schoolgirl and escaped for 15 years. We gonna react to it. Let's see what it do. Hopefully it's some heat, man. Hopefully it's some heat.
The window was, and I seen somebody laying in there. And I walked over and the window was open and I touched her head. And I said, you get that door open right now.
This is Anita Knutston. She was an 18-year-old student with an amazing sense of humor and a big group of friends who loved her. So when she disappeared in 2007, no one could understand why. And when her parents looked into her disappearance, their worst fears came true.
He told me that somebody killed her and...
Who hated Anita? And why? This made so little sense. Shockingly, it didn't make sense to the police either. For 15 years.
Whoa.
Indeed, in 2022, there's been a huge update to the case, and Anita's killer was not who everyone was suspecting. Let's dive into the strange case of Anita Knutston and uncover all the bizarre plot twists that followed her tragic death.
So the popular girl in high school got killed, and 15 years later, they found out who her killer was. That's crazy. They never knew what happened or who killed her. Let's see what it do.
When Anita's family adopted her as a baby, they promised her nothing but love and protection.
I had to go to court and tell the judge I would take care of her and make sure she was safe her whole life.
Gordon and Sharon Knutston adopted 3 babies, Daniel, Anna, and Anita, from different families. But they were of similar ages, and they immediately became a tight-knit trio. In many respects, they were a picture-perfect family to everyone who knew them. Anita was a loving daughter too, but she was also exceptionally ambitious. In 2007, she was only 18, but she was already living on her own and working 2 jobs. Why? Because she wanted to pay for her own university studies. Anita was a freshman at Minot State University.
This is Anita Knutston reporting live from North Dakota. There was a ginormous tornado coming towards us in the southeast.
Her dedication to work and relentless sense of humor made Anita really popular.
So Anita was doing it up. She was 18 with 2 jobs, her own spot, all that. She was ambitious. And I guess she must have been like popping, popular. You know how that shit go, man. You gotta watch that shit in high school. Them low self-esteem motherfuckers be jealous of you and shit and want to knock you off. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Be some weird shit going on.
Was the coolest girl. Like, everybody at school loved her. I was really lucky to have her as my sister.
But she didn't work hard to be popular. In fact, she was quite natural.
She didn't really care a lot about what other people thought of her. She was the nicest person I've ever known.
And Anita was a big fighter for justice. She would always root for the underdog and make sure that no one was getting picked on at school.
When she was in high school, there was a girl the principal sent her home because she didn't follow the dress code. She went to the principal and says, I think you need to apologize to this girl. She says, I make the rules around here. And she says, I know you do. You got them written down. Every day when she'd come to school, she'd stick her head in the door and said, have you apologized yet? And finally he did. That was the kind of person she was.
On the first day of June 2007, Sharon remembers having a very regular chat with her daughter.
I talked to her Friday. She said she was going home. That
Friday.
was the last time I talked to her.
On Friday evening, Anita called her mom as she was returning home from her job at Fairfield Inn.
I called her Saturday, just out of habit of calling her every day almost. And she didn't answer, so I called Sunday.
So it was a Friday night. Friday evening, Friday night. Her mom tried to call her on Saturday. She said she called her every day. She called and motherfucking no response. Let's see what happened.
No answer Sunday. And so Monday, I called her and still no answer. She should have been answering her phone.
By Monday, June 4th, the Knutstons had a very bad feeling about it all. Anita was a social animal and a very loving daughter. Her parents thought they'd give her some space over the weekend. She was a young adult who'd recently moved into her own place after all. But when 3 days went by without a message, they realized something was off. So Gordon got into his car and drove to Anita's flat. But that's when things got even more worrying.
When did you know something was wrong?
I went and knocked on the door, and it didn't answer, and her car was there.
No matter
Oh,
how hard
shit.
Gordon knocked, no one answered. He even tried to go inside the house, but the door was locked and the windows were down.
So I went to the apartment manager and said that I wanted her to open the door. First, she said she couldn't do that because she could get in trouble. I
Damn.
said, well, I think maybe you'll get in trouble if you don't.
When the manager's boyfriend came in, he showed Gordon something he found over the weekend, a sliced window screen thrown into the yard. Sadly, this belonged to Anita's bedroom window.
They go over to
Wait, so what happened? So somebody busted in her window, a sliced window screen. So somebody busted in her room, in the window, and they had to take her out of there because unless she's in there. Let's watch. I don't know if she's still in there.
where the window was, and I seen somebody laying in there.
Oh, yeah,
And
there it is.
I walked over, and the window was open, and I touched her head, and I says, "You get that door open right now."
So the manager opened the door to
Well, she was in there.
place, and Gordon rushed into his daughter. It looked like she was sleeping peacefully, but what sleep is that deep? When he got closer, his blood froze.
The mattress was soaked with blood.
Oh, damn.
She was covered up with a large house coat. She was laying face down on the bed. I touched her, and her body was cold, so I knew she was dead. From that point, I think I was just in total shock.
What do you even do after you find your daughter like this?
So she more than likely got killed on Friday night because, again, her mama said she wasn't answering Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. But Friday, she talked to her. And that's most likely what happened then. Friday night, that's fucked up. Then 3 days. They said the parents gave her space thinking, you know, she just moved out, so she's probably wants some space. She probably partying, doing her thing. And then the third day, they couldn't take it no more. And they went down there and found their daughter dead in the bed. That's fucking weak. Damn. That's sad.
As the hotel manager called 911, Gordon called his wife.
He just called me and he said, Anita's dead. That was real hard because for the adoption, I had to go to court and tell the judge I would take care of her and make sure she was safe her whole life. And I didn't manage to do that. Didn't protect her that one day.
It wasn't Sharon's fault. She couldn't stand by her daughter 24/7, but imagine living with the fact that months after she left home, your daughter was stabbed and killed in her own bed. An hour later, Anna and Daniel were in the same car when Daniel got the call. Immediately, he started crying.
We're driving home and my brother was crying. I was like, Daniel, what's wrong? Like, you know, I mean, I've never really seen my brother cry or be like the slightest bit sad. And he's like, Anita's dead.
It's not easy to process words like this. Not when you haven't had a chance to say goodbye.
At that moment, I didn't understand. I mean, I obviously understand what those words mean, but I mean, to hear it, I was just kind of like, she's dead? Like, she's so young. Like, she's the nicest person. Like, what happened? And he told me that somebody killed her. And
The Knutstons
That shit kind of fake. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know. That was kind of fake. That was that for the camera shit right there. I didn't really feel organic, young lady.
were devastated as they were outraged. Who would want Anita dead?
Who the hell
She was
killed
a
Anita?
kind, friendly, popular girl with lots of friends. She'd never spoken about someone that scared her or hated her. As far as her family knew, Anita had no enemies, which is what made the police's work quite hard. First, they had to canvass the crime scene for any clues.
According to the forensics from the crime lab, said that she was killed on Sunday morning. It was with a pocket knife, 3/4-inch blade.
Wait a minute. So she was killed on Sunday morning? So she really didn't answer her mama on Friday night or Saturday, if that's the case. They said she was killed on Sunday morning. And he went Monday? So he went the next day and found her then. Because he went Monday. They said 3 days.
I would suspect multiple wounds to the chest.
Anita's home hadn't been altered in any way. The killer hadn't taken any objects, and they didn't look for anything in particular. It was clear they simply wanted her dead. The killer even left a pocket knife at the foot of Anita's bed, almost like saying, the police won't ever catch me. Indeed, there were only DNA traces on the pocket knife. The killer was probably wearing gloves.
She got killed with a pocket knife?
Without a DNA profile, the police had to look at the motive.
Were there any signs of sexual assault?
The police say no.
Sign of robbery? Were any of...
She got killed with a pocket knife? With that little pocket knife right there? She must have shanked her up a couple times, that little thing.
her belongings missing?
Well, that's a real interesting part of it, I thought, is that nothing was discovered missing. It was not considered a robbery at all, just plain murder.
As the investigators tried to unearth the reality behind Anita's murder, they discovered more questions than answers. If Anita would have been chosen randomly as a victim, then chances were she would have also been robbed or assaulted, but she wasn't, so it was most likely a targeted attack. Still,
nothing happened to her.
Who would target Anita?
I don't know that I ever met anybody that did not like her.
She was that type of person. If you were an underdog, she was befriending you. She was always there for whoever needed a friend.
The first natural question for any investigator in this case was, what was Anita's love life like? At that time, Anita wasn't dating anybody, but
Look at this nigga. What the fuck? He looked like one of them serial killers, huh? Like a Ted Bundy. A Ted Bundy ass nigga right here for sure.
she did have a very insistent prom date, Tyler.
She did mention one time after the prom that he was kind of persistent. She didn't say this, but he'd probably been trying to get her to go out, and she wasn't going out with anybody.
So it appeared he was more interested in her than...
And she wasn't him.
And Tyler didn't take no for an answer. After they graduated, Anita told him she would relocate so she could live by herself and be closer to college. What did Tyler do? He moved into the same apartment complex as her.
Whoa. This nigga moved into the same building. Creep. That nigga's a creep, cuz. He moved into the same exact building as her. Wait, hold on, man. What the fuck? Okay, all right. The title kind of give away what the fuck happened. I wish I didn't give it away in the title. God damn. Because right now, I would think it was this nigga.
Honestly, he might have been 18, but this was pretty creepy nonetheless. When the police learned about these from Gordon and Sharon, they realized they had to bring Tyler in for questioning. And it was really easy. Tyler was snooping around the crime scene, waiting for answers about Anita's case.
He was there not too long after the day that I found her.
Was his behavior odd?
Yeah, I would say it was odd. There was no tears.
Right after the murder?
Right. I thought that Tyler was acting suspicious, and I thought it could be him.
In fact, Anita's whole family was pretty suspicious of Tyler. Just who follows someone around like that? Who moves into the same building as their crush? Even after their crush has clearly rejected their advances.
If I were to pick out folks that I thought were her best friends.
That's some creepy shit. Like, imagine like somebody you fucking with, or somebody trying to fuck with you, but you're not trying to fuck with them, and you know they got a crush on you, and then you move out your mom's and dad's spot, you move into your own spot, boom, and then like 2 weeks later, that person move into the same place with you. You're like, oh, hell no, what the fuck? That's some creepy shit.
I don't know that I'd necessarily say that Tyler was one of them.
But when the police took Tyler to their van, he denied having anything to do with Anita's murder.
They interviewed me the very second I got up there. When they first interviewed me, I was actually at the crime scene in the van. They were concerned because I knew exactly when I last talked to her. They kept asking me about that, but that's because when I got up there, the first person I saw was her aunt. And her aunt asked me when the last time I talked to her, so I went on my computer and checked my chat logs, and they just kept counting me on that.
The police let Tyler go, and a few days later, they invited him for an interview again. They were pretty sure he was innocent, but his stalker-like behavior with Anita before her murder was enough to make the police suspicious. So the investigators kept a quiet eye on him. And over the next few days, Tyler made a big deal out of Anita's murder. He made a 20-minute long tribute for her and posted it on all social media accounts. Then he continued to write posts about her.
Don't get me wrong, I appreciate all that he's done, but I think it's a little...
They was watching this nigga right here, man. He was under a microscope. They're like, yeah, this nigga's a weirdo. He for sure has a crush on her. One of them creepy crushes too. They like, let's watch this nigga. And all along, it ain't even him though. That's crazy.
Odd that he's so involved.
Would you call Tyler's behavior a little obsessive?
A bit obsessive, yeah.
Tyler's behavior didn't even change years later, and he got married.
You would think he'd go back more in the shadows somewhere since he got married and that, but he's always out there.
I love you, Anita.
A decade after Anita's murder, Tyler himself spoke to True Crime Daily about his time with his crush.
She was my best friend.
That nigga look completely different now. That nigga look different than a motherfucker.
Friend back in high school in the beginning years of college. Went to high school together, went to our senior prom together.
Were you dating?
No, not dating. I just had a crush on her. We were just friends.
Oh,
She had a
shit.
crush on her.
Yes.
Tyler insisted that it was never love or an obsession for his friend, just a regular high school crush. But even then, the police were...
So mind you, nigga, this is 10 years later, and they still don't know who killed her. So probably all this time, the city they're from, they look like they're from a small town. The town they from or the family, they probably thought it was this nigga all this time, you know what I mean?
suspicious of Tyler. He still seemed oddly interested in Anita's case.
8 years since Anita was murdered. Why haven't you been able to let go?
Because she was just so amazing. She just meant that much to me. Back in my first days of college, all my high school friends moved away, and she was my only friend I had then. I'm a quiet, shy guy, and I'm not that much outgoing, so she was at that time, she was my only friend. She was just the most amazing person in the world, and she didn't deserve any of this.
So, Tyler was
Creepy.
crossed off the suspect list, but
Tyler
the
was
police
creepy.
were still at a loss as to who could have wanted Anita dead.
Tyler creepy, cuz.
A few weeks into the investigation, a witness called the police, and they said they saw a man running away from Anita's apartment complex during the night between Saturday and Sunday when Anita was killed. The witness even described the suspect to the police, and they released this sketch to the public. Within hours, the suspect contacted the police.
That person came forward right away as soon as he saw that the photograph was published, or the drawing was published, and resembled him. He came forward and was cleared immediately.
That's because he wasn't running away from something. He was simply jogging. So the police dug even deeper into the suspect pool. They looked at everyone who had anything to do with Anita or her apartment.
Yeah. The tooth on the loose. Y'all niggas called fucking with that nigga front tooth.
There was some maintenance men working on a building nearby doing roofing, the temporary workers in the area doing roofing.
At this point, they don't know what. They like, nigga, anybody. They tried to blame the jogger. Now they talking about the roofers who was across the street. They don't have no idea what the fuck. They don't know. They like, nigga, she didn't have no enemies. It was no sign that she was in a beef with anybody. And nigga, only thing we know that comes off as weird is there's a guy that liked her that she didn't like that, but she went to prom or whatever with him, and he moved in her spot after she moved in there. So we're gonna go with him, and we're gonna stay on his ass.
Left was thought that perhaps one of those people could have been involved in that.
But even they were taken one by one and slowly cleared of all suspicion. The last man the police suspected was the maintenance guy to Anita's apartment complex. He was the manager's boyfriend, and he had access to every apartment in the complex. And since there were no signs of a break-in, he could have easily been the culprit. Then there was Gordon's statement. Remember the maintenance guy showed him the screen to Anita's bedroom? He could have seen the screen there at the moment, or he could have known it was there all along. However, when the police questioned him, he was also cleared of all suspicion, and sadly, 1 year after Anita's murder, he took his own life. So when the investigators excluded...
Shit, what a plot twist. That nigga did a suicide. So they probably like, damn, this shit weird as a motherfucker. The nigga that we started to think is something to do with it, he done killed himself. And then we got this other crazy weirdo who's fucking infatuated with her. They don't know where to go with this shit. No type of clue.
Every man in Anita's circle, they started looking at a girl, Anita's roommate.
She had a girl roommate.
Oh, she had a roommate?
And they didn't get along. That person was not a safe person. She would have male friends over, and then Anita would tell me she would leave. And
Wait, hold on. Why didn't it start there? If she had a roommate, they didn't get along. Why did they just start with the roommate, cuz? The fuck?
The male friends there, whoever they might be.
And when Anita would tell her to stop doing this, she would only get more and more defensive. Who was she to tell her how to live her life? This was a problem because it affected Anita's life too, but she didn't seem to care.
Had Anita expressed concern over her roommate to you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, many times.
According to Anita, on her cell phone, this person would text to her threatening letters.
Anita felt...
Man, that got me so fucking hot right now. They literally said they had no idea who would want to kill her because she didn't have beef with nobody. And she was, you know, basically clean cut. Everybody loved her, boo-boo. Now, come to find out, 10 years later, now you talk about, oh, the roommate, they had beef, they didn't get along, she hated her own roommate. Why the fuck didn't y'all start there? Why they didn't start there? They ain't mentioned the roommate yet up until now.
Stuck in this argument. She couldn't just get her things and leave her apartment, and the process to move flats was not a quick and easy one. So during the last months of her life, she complained to her mom about her roommate. Her name was Nicole Erin Rice, and she was a year or two older than Anita, but she didn't behave like a fellow student. She behaved like an enemy. The more Anita asked her to respect her privacy
Why would you move
or
in
not
with her?
bring strange men into their apartment, the more Nicole seemed to do it, almost to taunt Anita.
Anita was scared of her.
She was scared for her.
Why the hell they move in with her? Why is she, what the fuck?
In a very creepy twist, a third student was at their apartment when she heard Nicole tell Anita, one way or another, I'm gonna get you out of this house. In May 2007, Anita was already making plans for moving out. Tragically, she never got to. So
Hold on, man. Hold on. Why we just start here? Why did, so now they got all this information. Why they just didn't start with the fucking roommate, dog? All of a sudden, everybody got information. A third girl got information and hearing her say one way or another, you're going to get out of here. This shit is crazy, man. They just took us for a wide-ass turn just to come back to the fucking roommate.
when the police finally turned their eyes to her and got this story from Gordon and Sharon, they decided to interview her on the day of Anita's funeral.
This roommate's mother came to me and was very upset because the police had requested that this roommate had go down to the police station that day.
Of course, she didn't go without complaining to everyone she knew, including her protective mother. Isn't it weird that her mother complained to Sharon while she was having a funeral for her daughter? At the police station, Nicole had a strong alibi. She told them that she was away at her parents' for the whole weekend, and they lived on the other side of town. All the investigators could do was take a DNA swab from her and let her go. When Anita was thinking of moving home, she told her parents about another potential roommate.
I said, so you're not going to move in with so-and-so? And she said, no. She says, I wouldn't move in there anyway because of her husband. If he was hitting on her, she didn't go for that. She would have probably said she was going to tell her friend.
This couple had a fair share of red flags on them, at least according
All right, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. At this point, I'm starting to think it's just the police is just lazy as fuck. Because now this shit isn't making any fucking sense. Now we done moved on to another girl and her husband after going 10 years without looking at the roommate. And the roommate having all this beef with her and nobody saying nothing. This shit is a roller coaster, bro.
to Gordon. A husband who had taken interest in Anita was definitely a person of interest in a murder investigation. But guess what? He was cleared of suspicion too. This is when Anita's murder became a cold case.
Jesus
The
Christ.
police might have forgotten about Anita, but her family did not. Not one bit. Her parents were desperate to get justice for her, and her brother's mental health was declining rapidly.
Uh-oh.
He wasn't as sociable with me as he had been.
He said I need a
He got
cigarette.
into, and he was like running all the time. You could just feel it. But he was angry and running. And he was lost without her because they were super close.
6 years after Anita's murder, Daniel took his own life.
Oh my God. Fuck, what is going on? Everybody killing themselves. So the brother done killed himself now too? Over this murder? Oh my God. I wonder how many people live in this shit in this town they live in. It's giving like small town vibes and like 3 fucking police officers who barely know how to do their job, because this shit isn't making no. Why does this shit take 15 years? All right, at this point, I'm confused on who the fuck it is. Let's just finish watching and figure out who the hell it is, because they done threw us like 4 or 5 different motherfuckers already.
He told his mother he loved her and that they'd chat the next day. But the next day, Sharon received a call from the police.
He himself.
Imagine not losing just 1, but 2 children because of one evil person.
Being told twice that your siblings are gone, I mean, that's crazy. It's kind of weird because my parents have their own biological kids that are a lot older than me, but like Anita and Daniel, I mean, they were my brother and sister.
So you can imagine that the Knutsons wanted to see the police work the case again. But by 2017, the police still hadn't matched the DNA swabs they'd taken to the DNA traces found on the pocket knife. Either they didn't have the right technology.
Bruh, what? Oh my God, this is crazy, dog.
To extract a profile from that little information, or there was a huge mistake there.
I know the police took DNA from a number of people, but I don't know if they attempted to match that with anyone.
When this information got to Anita,
Bro, this is the dumbest shit in the fucking world. So they never matched the DNA from all this shit they got from the different suspects with the motherfucking knife. They never matched the DNA.
Anita's family, they couldn't believe it. Did investigators not even try to match the DNA found on the knife? Were they that oblivious to the very basics of a homicide case?
My confidence in the Atlantic police is not very high.
But when the police spoke to the press, they ensured everyone they did check the DNA they had against the profiles they retrieved.
We recovered DNA evidence from the crime scene in general, including the knife. Nearly everyone that we interviewed submitted to a DNA sample, and all those samples have been compared to the DNA collected from the crime scene.
Throughout the 15 years between 2007 and 2022, the police continued to interview people with a connection to Anita, from her former classmates to her dance buddies. The police didn't really forget her. They continued to work in the background. A few years before the final arrest, the police released a new bit of information in the investigation.
The window leading into Anita's bedroom had a screen on it that was cut. And I believe that that was something that was done after the fact. There was some blood found on the cut of the screen, which certainly leads me to believe that it was done after the fact. I believe the purpose would be to mislead law enforcement, to try and show that this is possibly an entry point.
Well, it worked, motherfucker. It misled y'all for 15 years. God damn. This is the slowest police officers. What the fuck?
Pay close attention to the word misled. Do you remember how Anita's roommate Nicole was cleared of suspicion when she was interviewed? Well, apart from saying she was with her parents that weekend, and her parents confirming this, Nicole had sent Anita a text message after she was murdered. Of course, to the police, this looked like she didn't know she was dead. Why else would she be messaging her? Except, this was Nicole misleading them once more.
So all this time it was a roommate.
In March 2022, Anita Knutson made the headlines once more. Nicole Erin Rice was arrested for her murder.
At about 3:25 p.m., 34-year-old Nicole Rice was arrested for murder and taken to Ward County Jail. Although most of the detectives who worked the original scene and investigation have retired, we have not forgotten about this case.
With new experts in the field and better technology, the police finally matched the DNA traces on the pocket knife.
So it took them 15 years to find out that her roommate killed her roommate who she was beefing with. Mind you, they said nobody hated her. Everybody loved her. She had no feuds. It was only one person in the town that was giving her a problem, and it was her own roommate. Her mother knew this. Her sister knew this. Everybody knew this. And then she ends up dead, and they don't know who the fuck did it. And it took 15 years to find out it was the roommate.
To the profile submitted by Nicole 15 years prior. But Nicole didn't go down peacefully. She still kicked, screamed, and maintained that she was innocent.
She pleaded not guilty and is scheduled to appear in court in December of 2022.
Yeah. Imagine being caught after this many years and still denying your responsibility for it. It gets worse. Back in 2008 or 2009, Nicole got really drunk and she told someone at a party that she killed Anita. But both parties were drunk and the other one didn't take her seriously. Anita's killer could have been caught a couple of years after her murder. And there's another horrible twist. Did Nicole's parents actually lie to cover for her back in 2007? If she had a strong alibi, enough for the police to let her go, it means that her parents confirmed she was with them that weekend night. Sheesh. In the summer of 2022, Nicole made her first court appearance.
Rice made her initial appearance in the courtroom today via television from the Ward County Jail. A nearly full courtroom heard the prosecution request a bond of $1 million in cash due to the nature of the crime. The defense countered with a request of $250,000, which the judge ordered.
According to the Minot Daily News,
Nicole
Rice was charged with Class AA murder and is facing life in prison. Chief John Cluggs.
Somebody said, oh, it took me 15 minutes to figure this shit out. These motherfuckers took these niggas 15 years to figure out it was a roommate that she was beefing with that killed her. This is crazy. This is probably the dumbest shit ever.
Said,
finally, my heart goes out to the family. I wish we could have solved this sooner, but at the same time, I'm glad to say that we have a person responsible for the murder of Anita Knudsen in custody.
It seems like her trial will be a fairly easy one. Nicole had access to Anita's apartment after all. They lived together. Their relationship had been in shambles for quite some time, as Anita confessed to several fights between them to her parents. And of course, Anita said she was scared of Nicole. Both her parents can testify to this. Digital forensics expert Eric Devlin analyzed the text messages between the two girls, and he concluded it was pretty clear they had become enemies by the spring of 2007. The fact that Nicole sent a text after she was dead, and that she never told the police about their conflicts during her first interview, only prove her guilt. Imagine being on the cusp of justice.
Okay, so I just looked it up, y'all. The city this took place in is Minot, and it's in North Dakota. So this is in North Dakota, man. This is crazy. Took them 15 years to figure this out.
For once. Anita's parents haven't spoken to the media since Nicole's arrest, but they will probably make an appearance during her trial. Nicole's trial was set to begin in November 2022, but in October it was announced that it's been delayed to March 2023. Nicole's defense team might try to push this for as long as possible, but she's already in prison. And by the look of things, it's not very likely that she'll ever get out. Meanwhile, Anita and Daniel's family will forever remember two innocent people who had their whole lives ahead of them and who spread nothing but joy until their tragic end. Thanks for watching, you guys. Don't be shy. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more.
God damn, what the fuck was that? All right, that one was called The Jealous Girl Who Killed the Popular Schoolgirl and Escaped for 15 Years. That is probably the dumbest shit I ever fucking watched. Where the fucking roommate, again, they said, everybody, this is the nicest girl in town. She has no enemies. Everybody loves her. She's this, she's that. You know what I mean? She's perfect. And there's only one girl who hates her, and it's her roommate. And she be making threats. And somebody heard her say, one of her homegirls, I'm going to do whatever to get you up out the house. And they never questioned her. You know what this is giving? This is giving like small town vibes to where the girl who killed her got like an uncle or cousins who worked for the police that probably like held out as long as they could before they probably croaked or got moved or got locked up or whatever the fuck. Who knows what happened with them cops? And they held out for her because it don't make no sense how they didn't put 2 and 2 together with the only girl that's beefing with her in the city. So that don't make no goddamn sense. Rest in peace to that young lady though. Yeah, man, that was on, oh, that's a channel called Anna Uncovered. That was on Anna Uncovered, man. Y'all can check that out when y'all get some motherfucking time.